What is going on, Pokemon fans? What is going up, all my tactician viewers, everybody? Welcome back to another video from yours truly. This time, going to be doing a little bit of change of pace and going to be talking about the rules of Series 8. Yes, Cerebi has just updated us and told us that we are going to be having new rule sets, I think starting in next month. Yep, right here you can see we are finally gaining access to the restricted legends. It's time for the GS Cup, GS Cup rule set, where they usually, Pokemon Company always does this cycle. They let us, use they use only those Pokemon found in the region decks. Then they open it up to new legendaries of the region decks. Then they bring in all the Pokemon from the past generations. Then they bring in the legendaries from the past generation, etc., etc. And then they bring out the restricted legends, and we are going to be having the restricted legends for next season, which is going to be next month. Only about a week away, and I decided, you know what? Why not do something I never really do, and that is rank all these legendaries that we're going to be gaining access to in terms of how viable they are, how powerful they are compared to each other. And first, we're going to be starting off with Mewtwo, and I'm going to be saying, honestly, Mewtwo, not all that impressive now that Mewtwo has lost access to its Mega Evolutions. Everybody was running, Mega Mewtwo X or Mega Mewtwo Y, with the Y variant being just the better one of the two, simply because it was faster and had a much higher special attack. If we were to go to Mewtwo's page here, you could see everyone was running Mega Mewtwo Y, simply because of that nice little 10 boost into its speed, but also that huge special attack increase. Almost matching Regieleki's speed stat. And a 150 in its physical attacks. It was just so devastating, Mewtwo Y. Then we had the X variant, which not as specially gifted, but far more physically strong, and still had the respectable 154 when it comes to the special attack stat. Not as fast though, but it was bulkier, could deal more damage, etc., etc. But when you've got just base Mewtwo, you still have the 154 in the special attack and the 130 in the speed. But compared to the legendaries of recent generations, those stats aren't as scary as they used to be. But Mewtwo is still a force to be reckoned with. It is still something to be run and still something to be feared. And that's why I am going to put Mewtwo here in the B ranking category. He's not as scary. Oh, that's Mega Mewtwo Y, that's not regular Mewtwo. Mewtwo is still scary, still devastating, but he's sort of middle of the pack. You can run him as a special sweeper, etc. For example, you can't strap a choice scarf on him and just have him go ham against everything on the field. But he's not as terrifying as some of the other Pokemon you will be seeing later on. Alright, now, talking about Ho-Oh and Lugia. First thing I'm going to tell you all, because of the ability patch, those of us who have had past generation Lugias when, the only ability we could get was pressure, and those of us who were gifted with the multi-scale Lugia could never really use them. Simply because, they were from past generation events, so they couldn't use them in the more modern day, VGC events or, online competitions. Lugia and Ho-Oh were among those Pokemon that people wanted to use so badly, but they were, stuck using only pressure and basically running a certain tier set or, a certain move set. Now, thanks to the ability patch, those Pokemon are unlocked. These Pokemon are now gaining access to their hidden abilities, and one of the scariest Pokemon is Multi-Scale Lugia. Between the two, Lugia is the bulkier of the two, able to run Multi-Scale, take a lot of damage, be able to set itself up, and just make it an unstoppable killing machine. with access to Roost and Recover. I don't know if Lugia actually gains access to Roost anymore, but it still has access to Recover. And Multiscale Lugia it's just a stronger Dragonite, basically. Only without the, -4 weakness to ice. It's just a better Dragonite, and it's got so much bulk to it. 154 in the special defense, 130 in the physical defense. It's just a bulkier Cresselia with an even better, a better ability. And a way higher speed stat, by the way. It's very fast, and it's very bulky and strong, and has a lot of health. There's nothing about Lugia not to love. And when it comes to Ho-Oh, Ho-Oh is nothing to scoff at either. With the Regenerator ability, think of Amoonguss on steroids. Everyone swaps out Amoonguss the moment it starts to lose health. They swap it out, swap it back in. It gets more health back. Ho-Oh is the same thing. If Ho-Oh wants to retreat, well, guess what? It's got the access to the Regenerator ability. It has a decent enough speed, so it can go for, like, say, a U-turn, etc., get the fluff out of there. It has a very strong special defense stat, but where it reigns supreme is the attack stat of 130. It has access to the Sacred Fire. Entei is very good with Sacred Fire. Ho-Oh does the job better. It's the original Sacred Fire Pokemon for a reason. So, nothing to scoff at when it comes to Lugia and Ho-Oh, but as I said, between the two, I am going to put Lugia in the A ranking, and when it comes to Ho-Oh, I think, I'm going to put Ho-Oh in the B ranking, not because they aren't good or one is better than the other, but simply because I think Ho-Oh is going to, he's going to be in that middle of the pack usage when it comes to certain legendaries in the field. There are a lot of legendaries to go. I've only covered 2 generations as of right now. So wait your turn. Generation 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 legendaries. You will be given a chance. Wait until I get to you. Alright, and I'm back, and guess what we're talking about? I just mentioned Generation 3, so we're going on to Generation 3's legendaries. So, the 3 legendaries allowed for, Generation 3 are going to be Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza. Now, these 3 Pokemon essentially defined the meta for about 2 generations since Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Kyogre defining the meta with the primal reversion, going into primal form. Look at those stats. It just was unstoppable. And when it came to the ability, yeah, just being able to set up a certain terrain, or not terrain, but a certain weather, and the only thing that was able to counter you was your counterpart, legendary, who was also in primal form. It just dominated the meta for such a long time, but without the primal reversion, Kyogre and Groudon are essentially on even playing fields. Both of them gaining access to drought and drizzle, setting up their respective weathers. They both have equal power in terms of one being a physical attacker and one being a special attacker. Kyogre has the stronger special defense, but Groudon is more on the physical side with both physical and, attacking power. And when it comes to Rayquaza, what's not to be said, what's not to be spoken about the Ray Way. Without the mega form, though, he does not have access to his main signature ability, being the Delta Stream, which in the past protected him from, his ×4 weakness, prevented him from being able to take flying type damage. But also giving him access to all that power in both physical and special defense. You could run a physical Rayquaza, you could run a special Rayquaza, you could run a mixed Rayquaza if you were in the mega form. But when it comes to regular Rayquaza, your options are still similar, but you don't have as much power. So if one thing defines these 3 legendaries, now that they've lost their signature items and their signature Mega Evolution in Rayquaza case, they are essentially on the same playing field. So when it comes to what tier they fit in, I think they are pretty much in the C tier for the most part. Not because, like I said, they are good or bad, but because they just don't have some of the options that, like I said, later legendaries will have. And of course, you know, Scarf Kyogre with the water spout. Enough said. If you can keep the rain up, you're gonna do a ton of damage with Kyogre, and the same thing with Groudon. Scarf Precipice Blades. Things are gonna be scary with these two. But like I said, these tiers are not meant to like say who is OP, who is strongest. Actually, I think they are gonna be like that. So I think actually I'll put these two actually in the B section. Kyogre will remain in the C tier because he just doesn't have as much without his Mega Evolution as what the others offer. So, let's move on to Generation 4. Alright, everyone is talking about Diamond and Pearl remakes. Well, personally, I don't give a flying flamingo about Diamond and Pearl remakes. I'm just going to say it right here, right now. If they do it, they do it. If they don't, they don't. And honestly, if people want Diamond and Pearls, they can just go to Jared's. Alright. Now that I've made that joke, let's talk about Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. These three legends are returning, like I said, with the new rule set. And these three gain access to not only their new abilities, thanks to the ability patch. Well, at least Palkia and Dialga do. I don't know about Giratina. But they gain access to 3 specific items, 3 specific orbs that increase their whatchamacallit, their stab moves. Dialga gets access to one of the orbs, I forget which orb it is, but it increases his steel and dragon type moves. Palkia gains access to another orb as well that gives him stronger water and dragon type moves. And finally, Giratina gets access to his orb, but unlike the other two, his changes his form. So, unlike Dialga and Palkia, when he gets his orb, his stats actually swap around. So, as you can see here, if you want to run a normal Giratina, you can run normal Giratina and you can be more bulkier. As you can see here, he's got 120, 120, 100, 100 in his defenses and attacks, respectively. But when he goes into Origin form, his attacks and his defenses swap. So now his attacks are 120, 120, and his defenses are 100, 100. So you can either go Orb Giratina, go Origin Form Giratina, and you will gain access to stronger attacks, and the orb does increase his Ghost and Dragon types. The attack of his Ghost and Dragon type moves. So you could do that. Or you can stay in altered form, and perhaps run, I don't know, weakness policy Giratina. If you want to run a weakness policy Giratina, go Dynamax, say, hey, hit me with a super effective hit. I can take it. I'm a Giratina. I'll blow you back up. I'll show you a real nightmare. And that's pretty much it. They're very strong. So, where do they sit on the rankings? Well, like I said, I'm thinking that these three are going to be, in the C tier. Not as effective as their past generations. I think actually Origin Form Giratina will be best and go into the B tier. But these 3 legendaries, and don't sue me anyone if you don't like where your legendaries are sitting right now. But these 3 are going to probably be in the, like I said, middle of the pack, lower tier of the pack. Not as high tier as some of the others, but that's where they're probably going to sit. And now, on to Generation 5. Alright, it's your boy Reshiram here, coming at you live with Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem. All three forms, mind you, as well. All 3 forms of Kyurem. Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem, the Tau Trio. Where do you guys sit in the power rankings? You don't get access to another ability. Your abilities are, well, Reshiram and Zekrom are essentially just, mold breaker. Just fancier. Reshiram's stats are more on the special attacking side. He's got a decent physical attack, but he wants to just burn you with flames. Zekrom, on the other hand, wants to punch you and throw electricity at you. You two are pretty much evenly split when it comes to what you want to do and what you prefer. And when it comes to Kyurem, while you're not as strong as the other two, you are able to switch between the two evenly. You gain access to pressure in your standard form, but where you shine Kyurem at your best is going to be when you are fused. Look at that physical attack stat when you fuse with Zekrom. Look at that special attack stat when you fuse with Kyurem. You are a very scary legendary. You gain access to our abilities. You gain access to our signature moves. You are an ice-type dragon, which gives you a certain immunity to ice-type moves. And that is in all three forms. So you are a devastating Pokemon to fight. You have a devastating ability when it comes to your signature move, which I think Glaciate not only deals spread move damage, but I think it also reduces the speed tier of your opponent. I think that's what it does. Where do you two fit? Where do you two fit in all seriousness? Where do I put you? Well, like I said, I think you two are going to fit. As much as I love Reshiram and as much as I respect Zekrom, I think you two are going to fit in the B tier on your own. Same thing with standard Kyurem. Actually, I don't think nobody's ever even going to use standard Kyurem. But I think he's going to fit nicely in the D tier, simply because no one's going to run a standard Kyurem. Where everyone else is going to run, though, everyone is going to run their Kyurem's fused forms, and I think this is where you fit nicely. You two fit in the A ranking alongside Lugia. If anyone's going to use you two, you're going to be in the A tier. Reshiram and Zekrom on their own, they're probably in the B tier. That's where I'm thinking in terms of usage. As much as I would love to throw you into the S rank right there, Reshiram, just nyeh. I think that's where you fit nicely. Now, on to Generation 6. Oh my goodness, we're blowing through these pretty fast. Oh, Rainbow Deer, Rainbow Deer, Rainbow Deer. What hasn't been said about you that has not been said in the past? Alright, if you know Rainbow Deer, you know what Rainbow Deer wants to do. Power Herb, Geomancy, Xerneas is still the same in Generation 8 as it was in Generation 7 and Generation 6. It's always been used at the top tier. I'm suspecting it's going to be the same in Generation 8, simply because it's still the same. However, I think it's going to be a bit on the nerfed side, since this is, of course, one restricted legend per team, not two, as in the past. So I think Xerneas isn't going to be as popular as it once was, but it is still going to be dangerous. When it comes to Yveltal, I think this is Yveltal's time to shine. Generation 6, nobody wanted to run Yveltal because Sir Oblivion Wing descends upon you, but it next to Xerneas, Xerneas just laughs in the face of Yveltal. And of course, nobody wanted to run the snake. Nobody wanted to run the snake. I'm sorry, Zygarde. We still didn't get Pokemon Z. Maybe next time. Maybe we'll get a remake of Kalos and we'll get get Pokemon Z. A game for yourself. I'm still hoping for you, man. I'm still hoping. But you have come back and you are even stronger in your 10% form. I'm sorry. I'm laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm not. 10% Zydoge, super speedy, but it's nowhere near what everyone wants to run when you got complete form Zygarde. Oh my goodness, complete form Zygarde is going to be devastating in this generation due to the fact that Zygarde no longer has to fear Xerneas alongside another legendary. It's a one-on-one struggle between the two of them. And Zygarde, if Zygarde can just get into his complete form, there is nothing on the field that he does not fear. He has a massive HP pool. He gains a lot of health when he goes from either his 10% or his 50% form. He gains a ton of power. Well, I think he gains a ton of power. Actually, no, he does not gain much in terms of power. He gains a little bit of a special attack stat, but that's about it. But he is still a scary force to be reckoned with. Power Construct Zygarde is definitely going to be something people might want to use. But as I suspect is going to happen, we are still just going to get Rainbow Deer. Rainbow Deer is definitely going to be everywhere. So, where do you two fit? Well, I think Xerneas is going to drop from her pedestal in the A rank, from the S ranking of past to the A ranking. When it comes to Yveltal, this is definitely Yveltal's time to shine, but he's going to be in the B ranking. I'm going to plant him right there. When it comes to Zygarde, I don't think anyone is going to run Zydoge, so Zydoge is going to be in the D ranking next to Standard Kyurem. When it comes to regular Zygarde, I think everyone is going to run Snick as well in the B set. And when it comes to the A ranking, everyone's going to want to run Power Construct Zygarde. So, regular Zygarde is going to sit in the B tier until he goes into Power Construct Zygarde and goes complete form. And then he's going to sit nicely in the A tier ranking. Now, that was Generation 6. Now we move on to Generation 7. So, kiddies, this is going to get interesting. The sun and moon shine down upon you in Generation 7. Seriously, these two legendaries, Lunala and Solgaleo. I don't know if that's how you pronounce Solgaleo. Some people pronounce it. I pronounce it as well. But Lunala and Solgaleo, whichever way you want to do it, the Sun and Moon Pokemon are definitely two ends of the spectrum. They are they operate similarly, but the difference between the two comes in their abilities. Lunala gains access to the Shadow Shield, which is essentially multi-scale for Lunala. So you can run a weakness policy Lunala and just gotta worry about that ×4 weakness to dark and ghost type moves. If you get hit with a very powerful ghost or a dark type move and you do not have full HP, you're gonna have a bad time when it comes to Lunala. Those are the two moves that you fear. Those are the only two moves you fear on Lunala. Oh my goodness, you're gonna suffer if you get hit with those two moves. When it comes to Solgaleo, you don't have as much to fear when it comes to the ghost and dark type, but you do gain access to a fire and a ground type weakness. But you also have, as a plus side, full metal body, and that is essentially clear body for Solgaleo. So you don't have to worry about Intimidate, which is good because you're a physical attacker. You don't have to worry about losing any speed, so that's good for you. But where people are probably going to use these two legendaries is with Necrozma. Now, we don't have access to the ultimate form of Necrozma, which is the Ultra Necrozma that we fought in the past with these massive stats. Look at those stats. Those are just look away from them. Just go away. Now, you don't have access to those, but you do have access to the Dawn or Dusk Mane Necrozma, and you have access to the Dawn Wings Necrozma. So, these two gain, or Necrozma fuses with Solgaleo and or Lunala, and gains a massive boost to its special attack stat or its physical attack stat. Speed doesn't really change at all. Actually, it loses some speed when it fuses with the two of them. But it gains access to a lot more defenses and a lot more attack depending on which one it fuses with. It also gains access to Prism Armor, which reduces the damage from super effective hits. So you can take a lot more damage, but you lose some speed tier. You could dish out a lot more damage. You can take a lot more. You can take a bit more damage, not a lot, but a little bit more damage. But you lose some of that speed that a lot of Pokemon like. You go from a very slow 79 speed in terms of legendaries, or not mythical, but restricted legendaries, to an even slower 77, depending on which one, or depending on if you keep them fused or not. So that is the trade-off with these legendaries. That is their gimmick. Where do these guys fit? I honestly don't know. I don't honestly know where to plant these three. I think no one is going to run a regular Necrozma. I think everyone will run a potentially I think it's let me move it there. Okay, no, I didn't want you. I did not want Ultra Necrozma. No, go back there. I think everyone is definitely gonna run. If they were to run Solgaleo and Lunala, they will all definitely be in their B tier rankings. So I think that is where these legendaries fit. I think they fit, in the middle of the pack. They aren't the greatest, but they'll definitely be middle of the pack tier. And now that we've finished Alola, it's time for Sword and Shield. Alright, here we are, the Sword and Shield Pokemon. Now, we're going to be talking about Zacian, Zamazenta, Eternatus, and finally, the King of Bountiful Harvests, Calyrex. What's not to be said about these particular legendaries? Talking about the Sword and Shield dogs, Zacian, really fast, really strong physical attacker. It gets access to the Intrepid Sword ability. It gets a +1 the moment it hits the field. Essentially, it counters a single Intimidate, and it still has the power to crush anything and slash it down if it uses Behemoth Blade on a Dynamax Pokemon. That thing, unless it quad resists or is very, 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 very strong on the physical defense side and has a lot of special defense, or not physical defense boosts, it's gonna die to Zacian in one shot. When it comes to Zamazenta, not as strong, but it's a lot bulkier. It can take a lot more damage, and its signature ability as well, the Behemoth Bash, is going to deal double damage to all the Dynamax Pokemon on the field. Then you've got Eternatus. What is Eternatus? I don't know how. I think it looks more like a Digimon, personally. I think it's a Digimon hybrid. There we go. Either way, the Poison Dragon of Sword and Shield. It has a lot of power, a lot of speed, a lot of health. It is just gonna slaughter everything in its path. The Dynamax Cannon deals double damage to Dynamax Pokemon. What's not to love about it? And then you have Calyrex. Yeah, Calyrex. I'm sorry, my boy. I'm really sorry, Calyrex. You're just not good. Wait a moment. You got a horse? Holy guacamole! Suddenly you are scary. Oh my goodness, Calyrex in his as Ice Rider or Ghost Rider, depending on your playstyle, you are going to be a devastating force on the field. You get the As One ability, you get access to Unnerve and either Grim Neigh or Chilling Neigh, depending on which horse Calyrex is riding. You are either super bulky, super physically strong, or really fast, really specially attacking gifted. You are a nightmare to face, and you get access to a spread move of either ice or ghost typing that deals damage to both the opposing Pokemon and is so very powerful. Where do you guys sit? Well, I know where you guys sit. Seriously, I know where you guys sit. And now if it will stop lagging, so that I can actually move you guys up there to, actually so that I can plant you guys there. So give me a second. So Honestly, I think these guys are just gonna straight up just sit in the A ranking and the S ranking, depending on which ones people want to run. Honestly, where people want to run them. Apparently it does not have this site does not give me access to the Ice Rider Calyrex or the Ghost Rider Calyrex. So I'm just going to have to use standard Calyrex for this imaging. So I'm going to assume Calyrex in both forms, Ice Rider, Ghost Rider, not standard Calyrex, is definitely going to be an S rank Pokemon. When it comes to Eternatus being allowed, he's probably going to sit nicely in the A rankings. But Zacian and Zamazenta are both going to probably be run everywhere. And that is what I'm thinking. So this is personally my tier rankings. This is where I'm going to put all the legendaries, as you see here. S-rank Pokemon that are going to be run everywhere, that you're going to be seeing the most common because of what they can do. A ranking, very popular, again, because of what options they have. B ranking, they're not as great as the others, but they're still respectable, and they do what they do very good. Then you've got the C rankings, which, they're still good, but, they kind of don't do a lot of things that other Pokemon don't do better. And finally, the D rankings, meaning if you see one of these Pokemon in these particular forms, make a wish. Because it's probably going to come true then if you see one of these Pokemon. So, that's where I put all their rankings. Calyrex, Zacian, Zamazenta are probably going to be leading the pack in terms of who wins what, who's going to get what. They're probably going to define the meta. I mean, Xerneas is scary, but it's still Power Herb Xerneas. And it's probably going to be checked by both Zacian and Zamazenta. A lot of other Pokemon here are essentially counters to Xerneas. I mean, heck. Zacian and Zamazenta pretty much counter a lot of these Pokemon, especially if any of them try to go Dynamax. But I'll see you kitties in the next video. Tell me, where do you think these legendaries, if you were to rank them, where would they fit? And finally, what legendary do you think you're going to run for Series 8 when it comes out? And who do you think is going to be the most popular? Just tell me right now, who do you think is going to be the most popular? Is it going to be Calyrex? Yeah, either Ghost or Ice Rider form? You tell me in the comments down below. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.